Robotron 2084 on the Atari 7800 is a very well done port of Midway's arcade classic. While certainly not identical to the arcade in graphics or sounds, it does replicate the same intense gameplay from the arcade version very nicely. The objective is simple. Kill everything except the invincible Hulks, save the humans who are hunted by the Hulks and the insidious brains who reprogram them, and try to score as many points and lives as you can along the way. The game throws enemies at you in waves, and the point is to try and get as far as you can before getting that game over screen. The 7800 version of the game has 5 difficulty settings: Novice, Intermediate, Advanced, Expert, and Challenge, which is a mode that gives you 1 life, seeing how far you can get into the game before you die. Staying true to Robotron's arcade quarter-stealing roots, this game is very challenging on all difficulties. There's actually no shame in playing this one on Novice. The more you play, the better you get at the game. However, it does take a ton of practice to get even remotely good at this game. As one might expect, there is a bit of difficulty in porting a twin-stick shooter to a console, and the default control setting for the game, which forces the player to hold down the fire button to shoot in the direction you are moving, works decently enough. However, a really cool control option for the game does exist, which allows players to dual-wield Atari 7800 joysticks for movement and one for firing, similar to the control option later put into the N64 version. However, with the size and shape of the 7800 joystick, this can be awkward, unless you find a good way to fasten both joysticks down. I am using 2 Sega Genesis controllers for this footage, and that works very well too, but is still a little awkward, forcing you to put the second controller on a flat surface in order to use your thumb or index finger to aim with, as the Genesis controller shape doesn't make it easy to grip in your second hand either. The 2-controller method of play, however, is almost a must for this game, but the default control setup does add on to the challenge, so those hardcore types who love making hard games even harder might actually get a kick out of using the default setup over the twin-stick setup. The graphics look good, as you can still distinguish the enemy types and human characters, and the game runs solidly, even when it gets hectic. There is no music, but the sound effects, while not on par with the arcade originals, still sound pleasing to the retro gaming ear. The bottom line. When it comes to retro Robotron ports, there aren't a lot to speak of. So if you happen to be collecting for the Atari 7800, Robotron 2084 is definitely worth putting in your collection. My 7800 collection is far from complete. I own 11 games for the system so far, but Robotron is definitely one of the best games I own for the system. If you're looking for the arcade-perfect version of Robotron 2084 and don't want to fit the bill for the arcade cabinet itself, hunt down Midway Arcade Treasures for the PS2, PC, Xbox, and GameCube, as the Xbox Live version of the game has actually been delisted. Plus, you get other great games like Root Beer, Tapper, Defender, Rampage, Spy Hunter, Gauntlet, and Smash TV. I'd buy that for $1. Actually, buy all 3 of these collections because all 3 of them are awesome. Hunt down Midway Arcade Treasures 1, 2, and 3.